Hey team, it's Les. Thanks for joining me today for another CHOT training minute. Today we continue talking about the CAHPS survey and the particular questions on that survey. Remember, we're talking about those 24 publicly reported questions, and today we tackle question number 6. It's all about communication, right? While your family member was in hospice care, how often did the hospice team keep you informed about when they would arrive to care for your family member? So, the first part of this, while your family member was in hospice care, remember, it's not the patient that's answering this survey. The survey comes after the patient's already passed. How often did the hospice team keep you informed? The hospice team, it's not just asking about your RN case manager or your social worker or your spiritual care coordinator or your hospice aide. It's asking about the whole team, right? So when someone is sitting down and reading this question, they're thinking about all members of the team, right? About when they would arrive to care for your family member. And it's very specific. And you'll see as we go through these that a lot of these questions are very specific to parts of our care, right? And the aspects of our care that we're providing. And this one is all about communicating when we're going to arrive to take care of that patient. So, here are just some best practices, ways we can influence this question and make these outcomes more positive, right? And when they read that question, they go, oh, well, always, right? And that's the answer we're looking for. We want that always, not that usually. Well, sometimes Jane just wouldn't show up or wouldn't call, or we wouldn't know. We'd have to call the office. We want that to always be, yes, they were kept in constant communication when we would arrive to take care of their family member. This is one of those things that families and caregivers and patients fret over, right? It causes anxiety about some of these visits and when we're going to arrive and are they going to be taken care of, right? And they're looking out the window waiting for us. So we want to set that expectation and deliver on that expectation. So some best practices. First of all, establish expectations at the start of care and set up a schedule for your visits. And this goes for every discipline, right? The very first time you sit down with that patient and that caregiver, remember, we've identified that caregiver. We've identified that person that we're going to be communicating the most with. And it isn't necessarily that caregiver that's going to be there at the bedside every time we visit. It may be a daughter. It may be a son. It may be another family member that's out of state, not even there. But we need to be communicating with that person because at some point that person is going to have this survey in their hands and they're going to go, well, was I kept in the loop? Did I know when they were going to come or not? So establish those expectations at the start of care. A good way to do this is just to sit down with that caregiver or make a phone call after that visit and establish a schedule. So as a case manager, I know, and as social workers, chaplains, home health aides, depending on how often you see that patient, a lot of times we set up these schedules. You know, I would see some patients every Tuesday afternoon around 1 o'clock. And we can even give some small windows, right? You don't want to give that the guy that's coming to install your cable where they give you an 8-hour window, right? That doesn't really help much. But if we give them a 1 or 2 hour window, hey, Mrs. Smith, I'm going to be coming to see Mr. Smith. I'm the case manager. We're going to see him routinely once a week. And I'm going to see him on Tuesdays between 1 and 2. Is that okay with you? Is that good with you? Or do we need to talk about a different day, a different time? Mrs. Smith may go play bingo. It may be the one time she gets a break from caregiving and gets to get out of the house, and she may have just someone else come and sit with Mr. Smith for an hour or two. So we need to be considerate of their schedule as well and work around that. And then once we establish that, we need to schedule reminder calls and share our phone number, right? Our work phone number, not our personal phone number, and let them know, hey, I'm going to be reminding you. I know we're going to see you let's say it's every Tuesday morning. I'm going to be here between 9 and 10. But I'm just going to give you a call Monday evening or Monday afternoon, late in the day, just to remind you, hey, I'm coming tomorrow morning. Is there any special supplies you need? Anything that we need to talk about before I come? Confirming that appointment, right? And so we can also take those dry erase boards that we use and that we give out in our admission packets that have magnets, and they stick to the refrigerator or the front door or back of the front door. And we can write our work phone number there. We can write, hey, but if it's between 8 and 5, Monday through Friday, go ahead and call me at this number. If I'm going to take a day off, I'm going to let you know that, so that you know to call the office. Anytime outside that time, you call the office, and you're going to get the on-call staff after hours or on the weekends, and they'll be able to take care of those needs. But every Tuesday between 9 and 10 a.m., that's when we're going to plan on seeing Mr. Smith. And I'm going to go ahead and write that on the dry erase board too, right? Because then they actually have that visual. And if the caregiver who is going to receive this survey doesn't happen to be living there or be there all the time, then when they come in, they see that as well. So schedule those reminder calls and then make those calls. Next best practice is at the end of each visit, inform that patient, that caregiver, of the next scheduled visit. Just remind them, hey, I'm wrapping things up. I will see you next Tuesday between 9 and 10. And then they'll have the opportunity to say, oh, you know what? I just remembered. Next Tuesday, I have to be at an appointment, XYZ. Can we reschedule it? And then you can reschedule it. Or just that reminder helps them to remember that communication. And if the caregiver isn't living there, or isn't at that visit, you give the caregiver a call after the visit and go, hey, here's a quick update. I saw Dad. Here's what he looks like today. Here's what we're doing. And by the way, I'm going to see him again next Tuesday between 9 and 10 a.m. Do you have any questions for me? It's as simple as that. If the schedule needs to change, make sure you coordinate. So in other words, if our schedule needs to change for some reason, and we need to move that appointment to a different day or a different time, make sure you coordinate that with that patient as well as that caregiver. Remember, that caregiver is the one that's going to be answering these survey questions. And it's about the communication with them about when we would see the patient. But if that needs to change, make sure you coordinate and communicate that with the patient and the caregiver, and make sure that those are good times for them as well. Okay? That's all I've got today. I appreciate your time and your attention. And if you have any questions, please don't hesitate to click me or email me. Email me at lharp@chot.org or click me at Les Harp. Thanks for all you do every day for our patients, our families, our facilities, and for one another. Talk to you later.